Hello everybody, welcome back to another Oscar prediction video, and today we will be taking a look at the category of Best Supporting Actress. Uh, this is a really interesting category this year. 4 of the 5 nominees are first-time Oscar nominees, which is always exciting. Acting categories sometimes can be very predictable and other times can be up in the air. And sometimes we saw in 2017 and we also saw in 2019 where the same 4 people kept winning everywhere. Uh, and this year is interesting because I think some of the acting categories are trickier to predict than others. But some of them we have a general sense of where they're going. And this category, I think I know what's going to happen. But before I get into it, I just want to say, give a quick shout out to some of the performances that didn't make it this year. Ruth Negga in the film Loving was widely predicted to get on, and that is a very, very good performance. The film is worth checking out if you haven't seen it. It's on Netflix. I'm a little surprised that Marlee Matlin was not more in the conversation for Coda, because the movie did so well everywhere else. Ann Dowd is amazing in Mass, and there was a period of time when it really looked like that was going to happen, but sadly it was not the case. And lastly, this would not be a deserving nomination, but I am a little surprised that Meryl Streep in Don't Look Up didn't manage to materialize, considering who she is and the popularity of the film. And I think it's very telling. This is her 4th consecutive year without a nomination, and according to IMDb, the only thing she has scheduled for 2022 is a TV miniseries. So, unless something changes, she's not getting nominated next year either, and that's 5 straight years with no nomination. Do you think the Academy is just done with nominating Meryl? I would hate for that to be the case. I know she still has a lot of great work left in her, but we'll see. We'll see. So, with all of that out of the way, let's talk about this category. Starting with 5th most likely to win is Judi Dench for Belfast. Judi Dench, wow, this is a really interesting nomination. It's a weird nomination for a couple of different reasons. First of all, this is one of those rare cases where somebody misses all of the quote-unquote important precursors, Golden Globe, SAG, BAFTA, Critics' Choice, misses all 4 of them and still gets nominated. But what's crazier is that her co-star in this movie, Katrina Balfe, got all 4 precursor nominations and still missed. It's crazy that Dench got on, it's crazy that Balfe missed, it's crazy that they're both in the same movie, so the Academy definitely saw and liked the movie, but for some reason decided, you know what, I like Judi Dench, I like what she's doing more than Katrina Balfe. It's not the obvious conclusion to come to, because Katrina Balfe has all the big scenes, all the really dramatic moments. Judi Dench, I don't want to say she's barely in the movie, because she actually has more screen time than Ciarán Hinds, which sounds weird, but Ciarán Hinds really makes the most of all of his screen time and really calls attention to himself every time he's on screen. And Judi Dench kind of recedes into the background for most of her screen time, which sounds really weird for an actress of her caliber. I think there's not a lot of importance on that character. There's not a lot of detail for that character. So it's really strange that Dench is the one who gets the nomination. With all that being said, I can't imagine her winning. For one thing, she already has an Oscar, and everyone else in this category has never been nominated. I don't see an urge to reward her again, maybe for something like Philomena or some like big showy role, but this is not that. It's a very, very bizarre nomination for Dench, especially when you look at all of the incredible actresses that didn't make it. And there's nothing wrong with Dench's performance in this film. It's just not as big as you would usually like to see. And it's not. And I know there's other actors that can do a lot with very little screen time. We saw just this year with Bradley Cooper in Licorice Pizza, and ironically with Judi Dench in Shakespeare in Love. She made a very big impression in that film despite having very little screen time. But I just can't imagine anybody actually voting for her unless they really, really like Judi Dench. And I know people do, but I just don't see it. Not for this movie, not for this role. Fourth most likely to win is Jessie Buckley in The Lost Daughter. So this nomination was kind of a surprise, not as big a surprise as Judi Dench, but she did get the BAFTA nomination, so we at least knew she was somewhat in contention. But the BAFTAs in the past couple of years have been going really out there with their nominations, so I don't know how many people were seriously considering her. Jessie Buckley is very good in this movie. She's playing the younger version of Olivia Coleman's character in the flashback sequences, and I find it interesting that this is the third time in Oscar history that we've seen two actors nominated for playing the same character at different ages in a film, and both previous times it was Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet playing the younger version of Gloria Stewart in Titanic, and then later Kate Winslet playing the younger version of Judi Dench, again, in Iris. So now it's happening with Olivia Coleman and Jessie Buckley. And here's the thing. This is a good performance from Jessie Buckley, but the fact that the nomination was such a surprise, and the fact that the movie is not nominated for Best Picture, even though all the other actresses in here do have their movies up for Best Picture, means I can't predict Buckley to win. Jessie Buckley is kind of a young, upstart rising star these past few years with movies like Wild Rose and I'm Thinking of Ending Things, but I don't see her as someone who needs to be rewarded with a win just yet. Maybe give her a little bit more time and for her to show her range and her power as an actress, but I don't see the urge to give her a win. Not for this movie, and the fact that the film itself is a little bit controversial, that not everybody likes it, I think Buckley was very lucky to get this nomination. I don't see her winning. I ranked her over Judi Dench just because this performance at least has a lot more substance than what Judi Dench is doing, but I can't see her winning for this. But the fact that she's nominated now means that the next big project she does puts her in a good position. Third most likely to win is Aunjanue Ellis for King Richard. So Aunjanue Ellis has been in the career for some time now, particularly in movies like Ray. This is her first nomination. It's her biggest supporting role, and it's a juicy supporting role. She's playing the wife in many regards. If you listen to the Runner-Up Is, that podcast, they make a joke about a lot of nominations for female actors over the years. The roles boil down to, what if there was a wife? And that's essentially what Aunjanue Ellis is doing in this movie, although she does get standout moments, and one particular very big scene in the kitchen late in the film. Ellis certainly does a good job in this role, and I could see her, if she had picked up more precursors along the way, I could see this performance carrying it out to a win. The fact that the movie is in such a good position overall helps. But here's the thing, though. She was not nominated at SAG, which was a surprise. SAG is usually considered very important when it comes to winning these things. And also, she... I don't even know what to say, except she hasn't won anything major. I think she's won some critics awards, but I don't think the majority of the critics are not rallying around her. They're rallying around the other two big contenders in this category. And Ellis, while she's very good in this role, I just don't see it, and I can't. It's frustrating because I can't really put it into better words other than the other two have better chances. I think this is a very solid nomination for Aunjanue Ellis, and I think she will get some votes, but I think the other two will get more votes. I don't know. The fact that Aunjanue Ellis is, despite having worked in the industry for a while, she's not much of a name, and I don't know. It's not like, I don't know how many Oscar voters will think of her other performances and be like, oh, this is an actress whose career has culminated in a moment like this where we need to give her an Oscar. I just don't see it happening, although I think it's possible, but I think it's very, very unlikely at this point. If we see her suddenly take Critics' Choice and BAFTA, then maybe, but I highly doubt that's going to happen, not at this stage in the race. Second most likely to win is Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog. So this is the first nomination for Kristen Dunst, and she is a very well-respected actress. She's been in the industry for a while. She's been giving great performances ever since she was a child, and her performances have been very much in the public eye in movies like Spider-Man, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Interview with a Vampire, Bring It On. Like, this is an actress who people know, and she's never been nominated for an Oscar before. She's never really come close to this type of attention for a role. I think the closest would probably be Melancholia, but that film didn't resonate with a lot of voters, understandably. But now she's in a film that did resonate with voters, 12 nominations for The Power of the Dog, and it's a pretty sizable supporting role. And the reason I think Dunst is in the number 2 position is because she's in a movie that not only had the most nominations of the night, but there was speculation going in that the movie could overperform when it comes to wins and potentially sweep, being the first movie in a while to win like 7 or 8 Oscars, including picture. Now, whether or not that happens is a little bit up for debate. We're still trying to figure out exactly what Power of the Dog is going to do on the night, and there's were concerns that it could underperform, but nomination-wise, it's in a very, very good position. And if the movie does overperform, does it take Kirsten Dunst along with it? My gut says no. I think that Dunst, while very good in the role, it's not the showiest of roles. She gets a few select moments, but a lot of this performance is relatively subdued, and Cumberbatch is really the one who calls all of the attention anytime he's in the room. And even a lot of the moments that she has opposite Jesse Plemons or Cody Smith-McPhee, she does, in a lot of moments, get overshadowed by her male co-stars, which is ironic because the film is directed by a woman, and yet her character is kind of the least interesting one. The other men are playing very multifaceted parts, and her character is very much what you see is what you get. But what we see is a well-rounded, good person who unravels over the course of the story and gets an arc, even though it's not necessarily a positive arc. It is a very good performance, and the movie is very well liked, and Kristen Dunst is well established. And yet, I kind of don't see it. I feel like the nomination is saying well done for all those years of work and well done for being in a movie that we really like, but I don't necessarily see the win. She did get nominated for SAG and Critics' Choice and all that, but she missed the BAFTA nomination, and I wouldn't put so much stock in that ordinarily because, the BAFTAs go weird places in the past couple of years, as I said earlier. And yet, the BAFTAs are the only place left that she has. The BAFTAs and Critics' Choice are the only awards that are left to give out, and the fact that Kirsten Dunst doesn't have a serious shot of winning, she can't win BAFTA, and I don't think she's going to win Critics' Choice for reasons I'm going to get into very soon. So, while this is a very good performance in a film that may end up being the Best Picture frontrunner, I just don't know if I see a win happening. And the reason I say that is because of number 1 most likely to win, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. So Ariana DeBose, like the other 3 I've talked about, she is a first-time nominee. And her career is interesting because she's having sort of a Star is Born moment. We saw her, she was an ensemble member in Hamilton, and then she had a supporting role in The Prom last year. But this really is her big moment, and she's appearing on all these talk shows, and she's sort of this A Star is Born has, again, people really like her. People are really taking to this new star and hoping that she has a great career. Even though some of that is also shared with Rachel Zegler, who truly came out of nowhere to star in this movie. But I digress. And Ariana DeBose, she's playing Anita. This is the big role of the movie. This is the role that Chita Rivera won a Tony for on stage, and more importantly, Rita Moreno won an Oscar for 60 years ago in the earlier film version of this. But that legacy could be a downfall for this, because Rita Moreno's Oscar win, a lot of film experts consider her win to be one of the greatest wins in the history of this category. And I think when somebody else takes on that character in a remake, there's all this speculation and skepticism about like, oh, I'm sure she'll be good, but is she really as good as Rita? And the fact that people generally seemed very positive on this performance, and like it's a very, very good performance. Sometimes it can get tricky when people try to compare what Ariana is doing to what Rita did. But at the end of the day, the fact that Rita Moreno is in this movie and that has one of the biggest scenes for Ariana DeBose is acted opposite Rita Moreno, it shows that Rita Moreno is very gracious in letting Ariana play this role and is essentially passing on the torch. And if she's okay with it, then I think a lot of us should be okay with it. The performance itself is incredible. She sings, she dances, she acts, and it's all done spectacularly. And if we look at the guilds so far, she is set to absolutely sweep them. She's already won Globe and SAG, and I can't imagine she loses Critics' Choice again, because they like to predict the frontrunner, and right now Ariana DeBose is the frontrunner with her previous 2 wins and also with Critics' wins. BAFTA, ordinarily I'd say maybe she's in trouble at BAFTA because they don't always like to award people of color, and if Kirsten Dunst was nominated in BAFTA, I'd say maybe there's a chance Kirsten could upset there, but she's not. And so I don't think she's going to have any sort of trouble with this. Even though the movie in general underperformed at BAFTA, like who else would be going to give it to? Ingenue Ellis? She also, I think for the reasons I said, as I said earlier, I think we're going to see Ariana DeBose just sweep everything. And personally, I'm fine with that. I think it's a very, very good performance, and I think it's incredible what she's able to accomplish. It is kind of a shame that, yes, she would be the second Latina actress to win in this category, which is cool, except there's kind of a feeling of, what, the only way we can give it to a Latina actress is when she's playing Anita, very specifically? Like, just keep making West Side Stories and keep casting Anitas so that Latina actresses can win. I don't know. Hopefully we get to see more representation in the future beyond just Anita, but for now, this will have to do, and Ariana DeBose is very, very good in this film and hopefully has a long career ahead of her. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you very much for watching this video, and tune in tomorrow where I will be taking a look at the category of Best Animated Short Film. See you then.